Carney, just looking back at the 1989 World Series sweep, I mean, the Oakland A's scored 32 runs in the 4-game span, and you guys never even trailed on the scoreboard at all against the Giants. Were you just going to overpower San Francisco with your guys' bats, like no matter what else happened?
Well, yeah, I think, actually that whole season goes back to spring training of that year. For some reason, I'll have to ask him someday why, but Tony just had, I think, a gut feeling that we might play the Giants in the World Series that year. So he purposely scheduled a ton of games in spring training against the Giants. And then he had a team meeting and he said, look, we're going to play these guys because I have a feeling we're going to play them in the postseason. So we're going to play them a number of times and all the starters be prepared to start every game because we're going to play these games like these are in-season games. We're going to win. And actually, we played them a ton of times, like I said, and we won every game.
Yeah.
So we knew going into that series that we were a much better team than them.
Was there any reservation, though, just given the what was at stake and the high bar of the World Series? Like, were you guys that confident? Was there any reservation about playing the Giants or the World Series?
I don't think that year it mattered who we played because we were so disappointed that we didn't play like we felt like we were capable of the year before against the Dodgers. So whoever we played that year was going to pay the price for us losing the year before.
Kirk Gibson did it in '88 and caused it to happen for you guys, I think, in 1989. You were hitting second pretty much all season, and right after Ricky, when you guys got him in June, and right ahead of usually Jose Canseco when he came back from the injury, batting third right behind you. So you think about just the trio of on-base percentage from Ricky, batting average from you, and power that Jose provided. I mean, that had to be extremely tough for any pitcher to face you guys 1, 2, 3.
Well, let me just tell you this. In the World Series, Terry Kennedy was catching for the Giants. And I don't know if it's the second or third game, Ricky got on base. I think he walked. And then I walk into the batter's box, and Kennedy's behind the plate, and he's going, just take it. I know you're going to steal it anyways. Just take it. And sure enough, the next pitch, Ricky stole second base. So, having him there. And then my job, of course, most of the time was to move him from second to third.
Right.
So they could drive him in with a sacrifice fly or a base hit or whatever.
It was a Ricky rally. I think that's what Tony called it, right?
Ricky rally. Ricky runs, what we used to call it.
Back in
Ricky
the day. What's an aspect or an angle of your 89 World Series team with Oakland that maybe either people have wrong or you think they don't talk about enough, or maybe they don't even know about enough?
I don't know what really is out there. I just know that we were really good. We just didn't have any weaknesses. Even our bench players were outstanding. They were not a weakness for our team. Our bullpen was outstanding. We didn't have a weak link on that team. So, Tony needed to rest guys during the season. The guys that he put in for them, we really didn't lose much when we had those guys in there.
I want to talk a little bit about Jose and Mark in a sense of the Bash. Now, those guys were obviously the Bash brothers, and I don't know if maybe they created it. I'm not sure if you know the whole backstory of how it came to be, but Carney, I watched a lot of highlights, and I remember a lot of this in reality. You were bashing as much as anybody else on all those home run celebrations.
Yeah,
so tell me how you came across it. What's that?
I was usually the guy that was bashing the guy that hit him.
Right. Well, okay. But I mean, how did you come across that whole thing that became kind of an Oakland signature?
Well, I think the story that I heard was that Mark and Jose were sitting around one day, and they, both had big arms, obviously, so they compared forearms. And then they just came up with this, bash thing, and then it just kind of took off like that. And I don't think that Tony, I don't think he really liked that. Because remember they used to play that song, the Monster Bash or whatever it was after every run. Tony made him stop playing that because he felt like guys were going up and trying to hit home runs too much. So he didn't really go along with that much.
But you had no second guesses in getting involved, right? Like you like I said, I think you were doing it as much as anybody.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of fun. The whole team had a lot of fun with that. It was just the different personalities on that team. Great athletes, but all different personalities, and we were just like a family. So, we really got along well, and everybody kind of enjoyed that whole thing.
Speaking of the differences, but there were also some similarities between a really core group of players. And when Ricky came over from the Yankees, Dave Stewart, yourself, Dennis Eckersley included, not just Bay Area guys, but generally East Bay guys. I know you have the South Bay roots, but it's almost like you four and maybe some others were specifically playing for Oakland that season. Like you wore that name on your chest, but maybe it meant more to you guys.
You know, Brody, being born and raised in the Bay Area there in San Jose and raised in Santa Clara, I went to a number of A's games and sat out in the Coliseum and pulled for those guys in high school when they won their back-to-back-to-back world championships. Mm-hmm. So when I got traded over to Oakland, my main goal was to bring back that, and experience that championship, not just getting to the World Series, but winning a world championship. My good buddy and close friend Joe Rudy, we lived together up in Oregon for a long time, and I would have to go over to his house and look at his 3 world championship trophies and just drool. And so I was going to do whatever it took to win a World Series. What
is it that you think that team will be remembered for most? And I don't mean the end game of winning the World Series, but if it had a calling card, what are the '89 A's all about now 30 years later?
I just think that it was about winning. Everybody did their job. Everybody prepared themselves before every game. Everybody was in the season mentally from spring training on. And like I said, because we lost the year before to the Dodgers, we were really focused on doing what it took to win the World Series.